What up, Misfits? Welcome to the Misfit Heroes podcast. My name is Chris, and together we are going on a journey. Now, Misfits, I've been focusing my show recently on how to start a podcast and how to become a content creator so that you can share your passion online. If you're looking for more interviews, don't worry, they're coming. There's a few set on the books as we speak. But in the meantime, I wanted to give you some insight into how to do this thing yourself and maybe pull some of you Misfits alongside of me on this journey. This week, I'm going to be talking about some things to expect as a new podcaster. Now, everyone thinks when they start a podcast, it's going to immediately jump into the top 10 of Apple Podcast charts, and they're going to be sponsored by Squarespace in their first month. It's just not going to happen like that. Let's talk about the reality of podcasting using some stats from the people over at Spotify. Now, first, you should know that there are over 4.7 million podcasts currently streaming on Spotify. You are literally jumping into a sea of content. So, in truth, in order to be successful with a podcast, you need to set your focus properly from the start. And that means creating a community. Now, as I've said numerous times in the past, part of the fun of podcast and content creation as a whole is sharing your knowledge and expertise. But you need to know that aside from just explaining how to do things to people, there also needs to be a focus on entertaining others' experiences and thoughts as well. I like to think of it as literally having a relationship with randos out in your community. That doesn't sound weird at all. And while we're on the subject, let's talk about who that community is. One of the strangest phenomenons on YouTube and social media in particular is the concept of followers and subscribers. These are literally people who oftentimes have never met you in real life and they've only seen your presence online. So, when you start a podcast, think about who those people may be that you'd be interested in what you're talking about. Now, in reality, you have little to no control over who and how those people are reached. But if you have a clear goal for your content, it will make it so much easier to create and just not get burnt out. Let's talk about another stat real quick. Spotify says that 90% of podcasters will quit after just 3 episodes. Now, of those remaining 10%, 90% of those podcasters will quit after 20 episodes. That means that to be in the top 1% of podcasts globally, you need to just stay on board for 21 episodes. Now, while this is, in my opinion, flat out facetious, it goes to show you to be a successful content creator, you just have to focus on growing. And one fake arbitrary statistic that I'm totally making up on the fly is that 75% of growing is just continuing to show up. So let's set some expectations. You've decided to start a podcast and share yourself with this beautiful monstrosity known as the internet. I'm going to share some advice I've learned from some pro YouTubers that I've seen work in my podcast and other areas of my life. Review yourself after the first 100 episodes, not before then. Just get comfortable with coming up with new ideas and testing yourself to stay consistent. Don't worry about how well you're doing or how many people are paying attention. When you start creating content, I'm telling you, you're going to be so self conscious about what you're putting out there. You're going to get into analysis paralysis. You're going to overthink everything so much that you're going to eventually get into your head and burn yourself out. And more importantly, you're going to forget the main reason that you started doing this in the first place, which was to have fun and to share a piece of yourself out there with the world. If I'm telling you this as someone who's been doing this for a few years, believe me, it's true. But if you're the type of person, like me, whose belief system is trust but verify, here's the proof. I use Reddit very heavily, and there's a subreddit called NewTubers. It's a forum for people starting out on YouTube to discuss the ins and outs of content creation. You know what posts I see in that subreddit most often? It's usually some derivative of, hey, how do I do this without being on camera? Or can I use an AI voiceover? I'm so self conscious of my voice. Here's my advice, and you might not like it. Just do it. Hold on. Let me take care of this copyright claim from Nike real quick. Okay, now that I've ceased and desisted, let me explain. That joke that I just made about
Company name intentionally omitted.
may have been funny to you, or you may have rolled your eyes. It doesn't matter. The difference between me and those people on that YouTuber subreddit is that I tried it. And if it's one thing that I learned from life, it's that you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. My point is this: don't be afraid to try new things. Put yourself out there. The people that matter will stick around because they like what you do. While we're here, if you're feeling this, please like and subscribe. See, now I'm on a mission to make you cringe. Okay, enough silly stuff. Back to the focus. Another thing that you need to know about starting a podcast is that people are just going to judge you. I'm just going to put it out there. I've had nasty comments on everything from misinformation to sweating on camera. Bruh. I've also been told flat out that I just suck. It's easy to make comments about someone when you're behind the blanket of anonymity of the internet. I'm going to battle this notion with some scripture. The servant of the Lord must not participate in quarrels, but must be kind to everyone, even tempered, preserving peace, and he must be skilled in teaching, patient, and tolerant when wronged. That's 2 Timothy 2:24. Now, I've made some impolite rebuttals in my comment section, and I want to save you the headache. Stop reading the comments. I know it's easier said than done, but listen to me. Really pull in and get in close here. Unless they're asking for clarifying help, it doesn't really benefit you. I know there's some social media guru out there and they're going to say, oh, but what about your engagement metric? It expands your audience. It may not be the truth, but my truth is this. I'm making content for me. I know it seems like this is some type of a show or performance, but my truth is that I host this podcast because it's something that I would want to watch. My podcast is focused on making the world a better place. And it amazes me how many hateful or spiteful comments I get because someone doesn't like or agree with why I'm saying what I'm saying. So, how does this relate to you? Well, the point I'm making is this: make something that you believe in and don't defend it, don't justify it, and don't analyze it. Share your passion and be passionate about it. Be bold, be personal, but most importantly, just be yourself. Even if it means 250 followers for the first few years, even if it means you aren't super financially successful. The truth is, someone out there needs what you do.
Sorry, I need it.
So do it and enjoy it. The next stat that I want to talk to you about is the average number of podcast downloads. Did you know that over 50% of all podcasts have an average of 39 listeners per episode? Why do I mention this? Well, I want you to be realistic about your expectations at the start. Don't worry about how many people listen to your podcast or find your content, particularly if you're doing a video podcast on YouTube. You literally do not have control of who sees it. It is YouTube who pushes that content out to people who have watched similar content like yours. The sad part is there are tons of content creators out there saying the exact opposite of what I'm saying right now. And they're literally deterring others into doing things like trying to game an algorithm to reach more people. If you understand how an algorithm works, you quickly realize you can't game it. It's literally about being similar. For example, I'm making a bet right now that many of you guys watching or listening to this episode have searched for how to start a podcast, and you ended up here. Imagine that. It's science, data science. My point is this: literally just make something that you would want to listen to or watch, and the people will come. It's like that movie Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come.
If you build it, he will come.
It worked the same for Kevin Costner back in 1989 as it does today. All right, wrapping this up, I want to say this to new podcasters: just be yourself. Aside from interesting conversations or sharing stories you find or what you talk about, the real reason that people listen to any given podcast is because they like the person behind it. So be you and keep it real.
Pussy, keep it real.
Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I hope this helped someone out there who was nervous about putting themselves out on the internet. As always, if you have any questions about anything in this podcasting journey, let me know down in the comments section below, and I'll be sure to help you in any way that I can. Please like and subscribe if this helped you, and be sure to leave a rating or review of the show on Apple Podcasts and YouTube. And remember, with everything you do, be kind, love one another, and be a hero.